Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another new episode of Wingflation, the number one Dallas Wings podcast in the world. That's just something I decided that hasn't been voted on by anybody, but I'm declaring it. So I'm Jack, and I'm joined as always by my guy Bryan. Bryan, how's it going, man?
Going pretty good. We got to witness like an actual good, fun win yesterday. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and we
things
got
are
to
looking up.
Yeah, we got to witness it in person. So Bryan and I were both at the game yesterday. Um, I was going to the game with my family. My family has like a family friend who has a niece or something that works for the team and was able to get them a bunch of comped like really good seats. And turns out the family friend that actually got us the tickets like got sick and wasn't able to go. So luckily Bryan was already at the game, and so I texted him and I was like, "Hey man, you want to come sit with us?" And he was like, "Yeah, of course." So we actually got to see the game together in a really great atmosphere at AAC last night.
Yeah, it was a bit of an invasion, but the atmosphere
Yeah,
was mostly fine nonetheless.
yeah, man. That's one thing that was when the game was first happening or pregame, all the festivities, all the starting lineup announcements, all of that. It sucked. I know you weren't in the building yet; you were still on your way there, but it was
Right.
horrible. I went to both AAC games last year that they played against the Fever, and it was
Mm-hmm.
bad. But this was, I guess, because maybe Caitlin was actually playing, and
Yeah, that's
had
what it
like
was.
the Sophie thing of it all this year that is
Yeah.
compounding everything. So it
Right.
was just like it was horrible. It was so loud for the Fever. Like it sounded like there were four Wings fans in the building. It was unreal. Like they were announcing the Fever starting lineup, and Sean, the PA guy, usually goes through it really quickly. Like he doesn't give people time to cheer for individual players. He goes, Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell, and like he just kind of just
Right.
gets through it.
Yeah.
But that whole time where he was doing that, it was deafening in there. And then when they were announcing the Wings lineup, it was like noticeably quieter. So and where I was sitting and where we were sitting particularly, we were maybe like outnumbered like 10-1
Oh yeah,
for
it was real bad.
in the
There
entire
was like
section.
a couple like to our what I guess I'd say like our 3 o'clock, like right behind us, uh of like other Wings fans. But man, it was sparse over there. We were surrounded by Fever fans.
Yeah, and not just Fever fans, because I hate to, like I wish there was a way to designate between there are longtime Indiana Fever fans. They're a proud franchise. They've been around for a while. Indiana
Hmm.
basketball culture is great.
Yes.
So there are real Fever fans, and I'm sure many of them were there. But we weren't just surrounded by those. We were surrounded by those people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. We were surrounded by like the Sophie Cunningham t-shirt wearing like
correct.
right, which like why the fuck do you have a Sophie Cunningham like jersey or t-shirt?
And it's like these people don't even care about basketball. They're just
Nah.
there to like try to be bullies.
Hmm.
They want to go into somebody else's arena, and they don't care really about the actual basketball. They just care that they can win and scream and yell and make everybody else feel bad. That's what they want more than anything else, which is why they've adopted this whole thing. But that's a whole separate conversation. So
Right. I was gonna
whatever.
say now I will say like directly to our right, the two ladies who were there, the FIBA fans, the one that was in I think she was in an Aaliyah jersey, and then the lady who was sitting right next to me who was in the Caitlin jersey. They were pretty cool. They seemed like just genuinely be there to watch
They
the
were
game and
very
have fun.
normal. They were very
Yeah.
normal, and there were two ladies next to my mom also that were like constantly engaging my mom, and like they heard us say something about the podcast, and she was like, "Good luck with the podcast," like
Yeah,
so.
right. That was adorable.
Yeah, there were a few normal people in there, but there were also quite a bit of just like insane folks.
Yeah.
So glad we got the win. So glad. And
We
and
needed it.
Bryan and I will both tell you, we were talking our shit afterwards. We were waving to them as they left. We were high fiving with other Wings fans, and it was an amazing, like polar opposite vibes wise to the beginning of the game. So that was great.
Man, it was so like you said, I missed actually the first quarter and
Mm-hmm.
had to end up rewatching it on my own later because I was having trouble. Like, well, actually, because I left, I walked from the garage to the arena and I left my wallet and didn't realize
Mm-hmm.
until I had already made it and got in line. So I went back, got my wallet, came back. So I ended up basically missing the first quarter doing that and standing in line to get a beer. I sit down for the second. I see the score. I'm like, okay, this is kind of close. I'm not really sure exactly what's happening, but we're hanging in there. This isn't too bad. And I get to you and I get to your folks, and the FIBA fans aren't really like going crazy. So I'm like, okay, we must be playing all right, you know,
Yeah.
for them to not be too rowdy. And once I sat down, it feels like that's when it just kind of became the Awak show. Like she was on
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
from the first whistle, which I have to get look as much as like we'll slap them around and we'll like have bad things to say when there are bad things to say. Shout out to Jose for having a little fun and going with a bit of an inspired like three big lineup with a walk at the three. That was really cool. That's not something I expected to see from them.
Yeah, that was cool. That was a nice surprise. I didn't expect it either, and I don't think it's something that can be a long-term solution for any kind of extended period of time, just because offensively, like floor spacing wise, it's really wonky, but it can definitely work in a pinch and be something you can throw out there for a change of pace type situation. So that was cool, and especially with the injuries that we have right now, and against this particular team, against Indiana, with how we match up with them, I think it was a really good place to try it, even though it basically didn't work immediately because Lamb picked up 2 quick fouls and came out like 2 minutes.
Which you said, I think midway through the game, you were talking to me about the fouls that she picked up early. That second one was pretty cheap. Now that I've that second one I AB that was pretty. Yeah, the congressional whistle definitely traveled because she got a bad one. Enrique got a terrible one, and then ended up getting attacked for complaining about the fouls she picked up. Paige eventually ended up getting attacked, which that almost never happens. So that just lets you know how bad the whistle was and how much our players were really kind of like not buying it from the refs. So yeah, but Land kind of did the Land thing on the first foul on Kelsey, where she matadoured a little bit. Yeah. She matadoured a little bit, got her hands up, but then still kind of moved in when Kelsey, kind of pump faked under the rim and ended up bumping her. That's a foul. Okay. The one on AB, that's a little ticky tack, and it's unfortunate that
that one was two physical players banging. That was
barely even. Like she brushed past her on her way to the rim.
Yeah, that was a cheap one, but she didn't have a good game. Just really straight up foul trouble, turnovers, not really doing anything on offense. It was the Awak show, like you said. It was all about Awak. And it's really funny that you mentioned, like, as soon as you sat down and you weren't really hearing anything from the Indiana fans, and like it kind of coincided with when Awak started to really take over the game. Like that, she was so deflating for those fans. It was such a shot in the arm for the building, for those of us who are rooting for the Wings, and it was so deflating for both the team, for Indiana, and for the fans, and just like restoring home court advantage for us. You can't say enough about like how momentum shifting those plays were, because that was the game plan last night. It was, we're gonna like fight like hell one-on-one against Caitlin and Kelsey Mitchell. And yeah, they're going to get their points. Like Kelsey got her points, 37 big ones. But when they get into, and Kelsey made all jump shots, basically. She had a couple of plays where she got like favorable matchups or score off cuts, but she did most of her damage either at the free throw line or off jumpers. But it was like, okay, we're gonna really try to contain you guys one-on-one, even though we know we probably can't. And then whenever we get beat in the paint, here comes Awak. That was the game plan, and it worked. It worked great. And not only did it work, but like it galvanized the entire building.
Yeah, and it was pretty cool because, like you said, we started out just trying to really kind of ice and like go one-on-one with their offensive stars. Defensively, we kind of let Odyssey and Paige and Enrique just kind of do their best to tackle those matchups on their own at first. It didn't go all that great. Kelsey started to heat up a little bit, got hot. She never really cooled off, but that's just Kelsey being Kelsey. Half the time, half the shots she hit were genuinely over pretty good defense. She's just like the best scorer in the league, so it is what it is. She also she got Paige pretty early too. I feel like Paige like just fell asleep and she got back cut from like the top of the arc. There was getting into the paint there.
There was a few plays on Kelsey in particular where the defense just completely kind of just short-circuited, especially with off-ball action. And she was just able to come down off a screen or off a cut and catch the ball and step into an open jumper, which, it's really tough to ask your players to chase her around for 40 minutes and whatnot, especially when the players guarding her have large offensive responsibilities. So you can kind of forgive that. I ultimately think that both Paige and Arike and Odyssey in her minutes did a really great job of just competing, and especially with Caitlin. Like Paige and Arike both kind of took turns guarding her and did a really good job of not letting her touch paint. She didn't score a lot. She made a couple tough middies. She hit 2 aura threes, whatever, but she wasn't able to penetrate and get the drive and kick game going. And a lot of that was because they worked really hard one-on-one to use their strength and size to strength for Arike's case, size for Paige's case, to kind of keep her on the perimeter. And then when she did penetrate, there was a walk,
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Like, one, I want to give a shout out specifically to Odyssey and AC for actually giving like some really, really important minutes in the second half where they just like didn't fuck it up. And that's genuinely what we needed to stay connected, to try and like give Paige at certain points, to give Jess at certain points, a walk at certain points, like some really, really important rest that ended up kind of saving us in the fourth quarter because we needed them to be able to play those minutes hard. So shout out to those two coming through and, being really good vets and playing the way that we needed them to, and getting the hell off the court when it was time for them to.
Yeah.
But yeah, a shout out to them for doing their job. It's like you said, Awak was really just playing cleanup woman all night long. Like, we were starting out with, and I did want to mention, well, I guess we can get to that later. Starting out, we did try to like ice a lot of their best offensive players, but then a little bit later in, I'd say like midway through the second quarter, going into the second half, we started to throw more blitzes, more doubles at both Caitlin and Kelsey. And we kind of figured out that, hey, okay, we can afford to do this because you're just afraid to go into the paint and shoot against a walk now.
Yeah.
Like that was the impact of like all the great rim contests and the blocks and her scaring offensive players away from the paint. Like, now it's okay, we can do whatever we want to your best offensive players on the perimeter. And unless it's AB, we're pretty comfortable. And honestly, even if it is, because like she has a strength advantage for sure and a bulk advantage for sure. But Awak is just like taller than her and like a better vertical athlete than AB is. And yeah, they were just not. They could do whatever they wanted. Like, they could blitz, they could double. Jess did a really, really good job. We haven't spoken about her yet. We need to, because she was awesome on both ends.
Yeah.
She did a really good job hedging and showing really, really hard on those screens. And Awak allowed her to do that by being so awesome as a help defender. She would slide over right into the paint. And yeah, she would just kind of shut the water off at the rim. And that really kept our defense alive and kickstarted our offense in transition.
100%. And with AB, it's like they had a great game plan on her too, because they're like, we're going to guard. Like, they had Jess mostly guarding her, and then it was like, well, if Jess gets beat or she's in trouble, we're going to bring a walk over and help. They did exactly what we've been asking them to do with Jess for the whole season, and now credit to Jess for buying in. For Jessica Shepard last night played the best defensive game I've ever seen her play. It was the effort level, and especially since she was so involved on offense and she was scoring like crazy so much in the first half, to still bring the defensive effort that she did throughout this game. This game meant something to these players. Like, this was a level of effort and locked inness, for lack of a better term, that I have not seen for a long time in this season. They came out super focused all game long. They stuck to the game with one maybe exception, but but Jess specifically played such good defense, and like you're saying, like the showing, the hedging, the traps when they executed with them with her, she committed to them, and then Awak is cleaning it up, like you said, and that's why the Jess Awak pairing is so strong, and that's why Jose should have never gone away from that, and that's why also when you have those two on the floor, that's how you need to use them. Stop having Jessen drop. Like that completely negates the advantage you have and plays into all her weaknesses if you just play her in a straight drop coverage most of the time, especially against the Kelsey Mitchells and Caitlin Clarks of the world. Like, that's just not going to work. So I think the matchup kind of forced his hand and necessitated, like, this is how we have to play defense if we're going to be able to have a chance of guarding these players. And it worked really well. And man, Jess was just, especially in that first half on offense, they could not do anything with her, man.
She was killing every mismatch. Anytime they got a guard on her, Paige, Arike, everybody, they were looking to Jess, and anytime there was a guard anywhere near, she got them on their back. She threw that hand up, and they were ready to get the ball to her. And she
had zero respect for Michaela Timpson. She had zero respect for Lexi Hull
Oh
for
yeah.
Sophie Cunningham. And even Aaliyah Boston got some back downs, you
Yeah.
know, like she
Mhm.
even said like, oh, you're going to put me on the block one-on-one. Like, I don't care who it is, you know, we're going into the paint and we're going to make something happen. So she was so good. She was so awesome. And I'm really glad that she had a game like this coming back from the injury. And I really hope that what we saw on defense is something we can build on, because if we're going to do anything, if we really want to win out the rest of the year, do something in the playoffs, that's what we need from her. And if she's doing that, then I think we can lie to ourselves a little bit.
Yeah, it helped. She genuinely kind of set the tone in a way that we were like, the Paige was all right defensively in the first half.
Yeah.
Offensively, she was sleepwalking a bit. She kept the ball moving as she needed to. She was a bit too quick to get off of it. This is something that we've talked about before with her, you know, in the last like 10-ish games or so. But Jess and Enrique really, really, I mean, obviously defensively, but Jess especially really set the tone. Like we were talking about Jess, like showing and hedging really hard on screens and stuff like that, and like using her mobility defensively. When she was in the paint and she was on Aaliyah's back, like whoever was like trying to post her up or score on her in the paint, they actually felt her. And I feel like that's the first time all season I've been able to say that. Like she was actually really, really physical on both ends in a way that I feel matters.
She had a sick help side block.
Like, like she flew over from the other side of the paint and got a block. I said, what the fuck is happening?
That's what I mean. Like this game for most of these players seemed to just have a different level of intensity to it. And maybe it was because they're at the American Airlines Center. Maybe it's because they hate all the Fever fans there. Maybe it's because they want to rally together in response to the unfortunate AZ news that came down a couple days ago that we'll touch on soon. But I just loved, even like in the first half when we were still kind of not, we didn't have the lead. We were basically trailing for most of the half and just sort of like, we kept it close. You know, we didn't let Indiana go on any runs. We didn't let anything get away. We kind of just steadily went about our business, and the focus and intensity was there. And it was just really nice to see it, especially from Enrique, who, I don't know, man. I don't have any other words for what she did last night, because that was maybe the best game I've ever seen her play, or it was in top 5 for sure.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, man. Like on both ends, she was. There were a couple like small lapses defensively, where like you said, she got beat by Kelsey off ball. Honestly, most of those weren't like she fell asleep and got lazy. I think there was one time where she was like Kelsey like ran off like a flare screen or whatever, and she got a little lazy, reacted late, took a bad route, and then just gave up a 3. But otherwise, she was on it, man. Like she was on her. Off ball, she was sticking with her as best she could. On ball, she was really, really tough for Kelsey to just get by if she didn't like get the step on her. She was super, super impactful on both ends. The shot making was insane, especially in the first half. And then again in the third quarter. Like we thought she was starting to cool off a bit. And we're like, okay, this is maybe where we need Paige to step up. And, you know, we're not sure if Enrique's going to have it for the rest of the game. And she got right back cooking. All it took was 2 buckets. She was right back in it.
She hit that 1-3 off the left wing that she basically just kind of they set a little screen for her that they went under on, and she just nailed this 3 that put us up 10, and that was the game basically. Like I felt like after she hit that 3, I was like, okay, we're gonna win. This feels pretty good. And then she made multiple other plays to close it out, and it was simple stuff. It was just get a favorable matchup, whether it was Caitlin, a lot of times it was Caitlin. Or it was Kelsey, and it was go to work. And it was rhythm shots, though. It wasn't like tween, Chuck. You know, it was let me attack you, get to my spot, use my strength, create space, and score. And it was a lot of jump. It helps that her jumper was on, that her midi was on, but like she had multiple finishes at the rim, especially that one finger roll at the end that basically
man.
Oh dude, like that was
like Kelsey had an incredible finish in this game that I don't think is comparable to anything else anybody else did. But Enrique was also like she was pretty sterling in this game, man. Like those bumps on her drives when she wouldn't get all the way to the rim, but she's like, okay, I'm gonna take 1-2 dribbles, get right to my spot, 13-14 feet, bump, I'm gonna create like 3-4 feet of space. Those ladies went flying off of her, dude. She was unstoppable at a certain point.
And Caitlin was like, woo! You know, like,
yeah.
It was so funny. And then she had that one play I think it was the third quarter when she was on like her just like she went on that kind of like little mini superheater,
Yeah, yeah.
and she had the same kind of thing. She beat Caitlin, she bumped her off, and she hit an and one. They called a foul.
Was that the one on the left baseline, the fadeaway?
Yeah, on the
Yeah, that shit
fader,
was incredible, dude. Oh my god.
man, like seeing her on the ground, like just like let out like the scream and just sort of like take it all in. The crowd's going crazy for her. Like that made me a little emotional because it was just like we needed a moment like that. We need moments like this, and
we have been slumping. So
yeah.
the team, the fans, the organization, the media, we have been in such a bad way. We needed a win like this so badly.
And Enrique, like I know I've said it already, but like this game seemed really important to Enrique. Like it seemed like she really came out with something to prove, and to see her have that game and that atmosphere, like that with all those fans and that all that intensity, it was special. You know, it was really special to see.
Yeah, man. It was a really fun game. It was a really physical game. Like it was being called one way on one side and then one way on the other, and that's fine. Like maybe that's just me watching through fan lens or whatever. But it certainly felt that way being in the building, and
Yeah.
it certainly felt like the Wings felt that way
Oh
because
yeah.
they got a couple techs in the first half, and they came out in the second half angry and hitting hard on both ends, and you could feel it, and you could tell when some of the Indiana Fever perimeter players started shying away a bit from that contact, and they were like, "Okay, we're not really up to deal with this." Like AB was, Michaela Timpson was, but that was about it.
I have to shout out Michaela Timpson real quick because
Dude, she's
she
so
was she was so impressive last night. So she didn't have like the craziest like statistical game or even impact game, but just like seeing her in person get real time, like her athleticism is insane. Like she might be the best athlete in the league.
Yeah, Fever fans should feel exactly about her the way we do about a walk. Like they
Yeah, and like
should.
well, obviously Awak has like the crazy size and length,
Right.
and Michaela has all kinds of length, but she's very undersized. I'm pretty sure she's like what, like six, like she might be
If you
5'11",
told me
6 foot,
like
you know, like
6'1", then I'd
six
believe
one.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, she's
maybe.
not tall,
No,
but her arms are crazy. I don't know what her wingspan is, but it's crazy. And then like just the bounce on
and
her
she's a
is
super
just.
athlete, dude. Oh my goodness.
And I'm kicking myself because when I first started like really delving into her as a prospect, I really liked what I saw, and I was really like, okay, this athleticism is crazy, the motor, the whatever. But then I let myself get talked into like, oh well, she's so undersized, she can't shoot at all, she really doesn't have an offensive skill outside of you know offensive rebounds and just rolling like general roll cut big athletic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I don't really see what her role is. Like, she can't really guard fives. She doesn't do anything for your offense. She kills your spacing. Like, she can't really pass. So I'm like, what is her role? So I had her. I dropped her down on my board, like in like on like 20 or something like that. And I'm kicking myself because I at one point I was like had her like borderline end of first round, like whatever. And that's just another lesson to learn. Like, especially in this league, like, do not ever sleep on like the top 1% athletes. Like that's
that you can't underestimate like unteachable athleticism and what kind of motor you're going to be like bringing with that into the league, and especially like in a pro league where that is going to be super super impactful. The kind of coaching you're going to get, you can end up with any other coach. You ended up with Steph White, who's like really really good, right? And that and just like individual like skill development, like those three things, you can't call it before the draft. You just have to like
yeah.
kind of see it play out in the career.
Yeah, and Indiana got a good one, really good value with getting her, and
Mm-hmm.
it helps mitigate the awful contract they gave to Monique Billings, who has basically been played to the fringes of the rotation. She's making $800,000 this year and next. Friend of the show, Hunter, had a great video on his YouTube channel where he talks about maybe like the worst contracts in the W right now, and mentioned this and mentioned the Timpson dynamic with it, how basically she's completely outplayed her and earned that spot, and deservedly so. Seeing her in person, it was really special to see that athleticism pop in real time.
Yeah, man. She's a very fun player, and I'm excited to like watch the rest of her career and see how long she sticks with the Fever. We'll, see if she ends up going anywhere else. But no, it seems like she's going to stick around there for a long time. So
Yeah, and like in Indiana in general is a really good team, and it's really great that we got that win because we we've played them well all year. We match up well with them. We can talk about that a
Yeah, we
little.
won the season series against them. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
we lost last week to them, or was it? Yeah, last week that we dropped it just barely
Yeah,
against it, but it was a much different kind of game. We can get into that a little bit, but it was really good to get that win. We really needed it for the vibes, and we'll see where we go from here, right?
yeah. I am. I'm just so like I put this in our group chat, and I talked to you about this. I just in my head I have like this roadmap for if we're not going to tank, and we're very obviously not going to tank. We have like the second most wins
It
in
would be like
franchise
it would
history,
be
I think.
impossible to tank. Like,
Yeah, you can't
yeah,
pivot at this point. Like a tank is
yeah.
something that happens in the W, especially something that happens from the top down and starts much sooner than where we are right now.
We don't
So
have time. We have too big a lead. Portland's not that good. You know,
right,
like it's just not possible.
right. So if that's not on the table, what I would like to see, and what we're off to a good start of doing, you reel off some wins against the bum teams that you have coming up. You get a big boost and like a big, very clearly emotionally relevant game for the team against the Fever. Then you reel off some of these wins against some of these bum teams that are coming up. You make your way up to because we're only separated by what I think we're tied with the Liberty for
Let me look at the
seven
standings real
technically.
quick.
Yeah, and then I think we're a game behind. Both we and the Liberty are the Mystics for the
For
6th seed.
We're a game behind both the Mystics and the Liberty, and we are 2.5 games behind Atlanta for the 5 seed.
Okay, so they're tied 6 and 7, and we're a game behind both of them. Okay,
Correct.
yeah, so we could very easily win our way back into the 7th seed, possibly even the 6th seed, just depending on who we'd be playing there. I don't want to see the Lynx in the first round. I already know
No,
that that's going to be a paddling. I know what's going to happen.
correct.
I would much rather see I'd much rather see Golden State, even though I think they have our number pretty clearly too. I think we put up a much better fight against them. I feel like we'd have the best player in the series if
Correct.
Paige can round back into form by then.
Yes, you can. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was really, really encouraged by her second half, especially her fourth quarter against them after we adjusted a little bit to what they were doing in the first half with all the stunts and the blitzes that Nakase was throwing at her. Yeah, it trust me, you had to squint to see it, but I like how she
I
ended it.
push back a little bit on that only because like she did have a much better second half, especially in the fourth quarter. But I felt like a lot of the fourth quarter scoring was garbage time.
That's fair.
At least she finally was like, let me go get a bucket.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think that's a good segue into talking about her, and that's the one thing we didn't touch on for the Indiana game was that she didn't look right in that game, and she hasn't looked right for a while now,
Yeah.
and I don't know because the first game we played against Indiana, she fried them, and that was
Hmm.
kind of Indiana's game plan was we're not going to blitz her, and we're kind of going to try to guard her one on one as much as we can, and we don't respect the rest of your team basically to, you know, provide the difference
Hmm.
if they're not getting wide open shots created for them. But that was the game plan was much different last night against her. She was seeing two almost every time she touched the ball. She was they were in the gaps. They were playing a lot of the same way as defenses that we've seen all year against Paige. And
Right.
her response to that has just been to keep the ball moving and get rid of it quickly and relocate. And but last night felt a little different. It just felt like she wasn't like her body language wasn't great. Her facial expressions weren't awesome. She got agitated pretty easily. Like, obviously there was the calm down meme that we're getting
Yeah.
to see for the rest of the time. And then there was the tech, she just kind of seemed uncomfortable and out of it. I know at one point she like took a fall and she was like clutching her throat kind of and like her neck. And I don't know. I don't know what was going on. She still wasn't bad in this game. She contributed in other areas. There was playmaking that she competed on defense. But the one thing I want to see, especially playing all these bum teams like you're talking about, like coming up, like we need to hit the playoffs with her at the peak of her powers if we have any shot.
Yeah, that's got to be priority number one for Jose and his coaching staff going into the playoffs. So again, by the time I got to my seat and sat down, what you're describing, the play where she potentially got hit, and I think it was going into some Jeff's free throws. That had already happened, so I didn't see it until I rewatched the game back. From that point on, yeah, she was a bit timid about specifically about going and scoring the ball. Now, like you said, it didn't help that she was getting blitzed whenever she saw a screen. I did not mind in like 80% of those possessions how she just kind of kept the ball moving because she didn't turn it over. That
Right.
was really, really
That
important.
was nice because she'd been doing that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. If you're getting blitzed and you're getting frazzled and you're just like, you know, scrambling to keep the ball moving to keep the possession rolling, and you throw a wild pass and you turn it over. She had a couple that were, you know, she sailed it a little bit high and
but zero turnover, 8 assists, 0 turnovers.
Right, exactly.
That's
That's
Paige
what I'm
Beckers,
saying.
you know. That's the part of that page that we're supposed to count on no matter what.
Yeah, even if you're like living in discomfort, even if the other team is trying to make your life hell, if you can come out of that and continue to suppress turnovers while being like one of the main ball handlers on the team, then okay, I'll live with that, even if you're not giving me like the offensive aggression that I would like to see.
Correct.
And fortunately, Jess and Awak and Enrique, they were there to pick up the slack. And so it ended up not mattering, even against a really good team. And then when she eventually did get going late in the fourth, she had 2 big buckets back to back. She was able to kind of help us, you know, put it away. So
she was. So there were some encouraging things about the game, despite her. I just didn't think she looked right. You know, I just thought that she wasn't like, especially, and it was noticeable because the rest of the team was so engaged that it seemed like she was just a little. I don't know what it was. You know, I don't want to speculate.
She felt a little spacey. It's not even like she looked bad or like she was playing poorly. She looked kind of out of it.
She did. In a way that I don't know if it was because of the hit or what. I honestly, like, I don't want to, you know, this is tinfoil hat stuff, but, you know, like the collision with NECA from weeks ago that we just keep talking about when all this kind of swoon started. Like, I don't know, you know, if she's still dealing with some effects of that. I don't know how the WNBA goes about their concussion protocol. I don't know, you know, what level of head injury, you know, how they linger. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. You know, I'm not any of these things. So, but, you know, at this point, it is a pretty large sample of her not being the player that we've seen.
The player that we saw literally last month.
Yeah.
And like, we know how skittish she can be like about her knee in general anyway. So like, I'm sure like after that, she's just been playing overly cautious in some ways. That is like, she already plays a pretty, I think I saw someone on Twitter say this earlier today. She already plays a pretty like absurdly contact avoidant style on offense.
Yeah.
But it's been turned up to like 11 or 12 over these last 10 games in a way that they've got to kind of find a way to help her out of if we want to be any kind of threat in the postseason.
Because basketball is a physical contact sport, and especially if you're a star player, like that you have to be able to get hit, take bumps, get fouled, get knocked down. Like, it sucks because, you know, every time you do that, you're putting yourself at risk. But that's the nature of the beast, you know? So I think that's maybe a mental block that she's got to sort through, and she needs the right people in her ear, and she needs the right support. And we just need to see it, because if she's hoping in her head, like, oh, I can just turn this on when the games matter, when it's playoff time, that's just not how it works, you know?
Yeah. And like at a certain point, like, I want her to do this because I want her to be better, because I want her to be her best possible self, because that's going to help make the team win. But at a certain point, like, man, as great a player as she is, like, we talked about this around the time that we started the podcast. So like, I'm not trying to hear like any physical limitations or like skill limitations that would like keep her from getting to the rim. No, we've seen that that's bullshit. We know that she has everything that she needs and all the tools that she needs to go and like genuinely live at the rim if she wanted to. I am concerned that she is like, okay, let me chill out. Let me calm the tone out, because I want to make sure that I'm making this clear. We are not concerned trolling about Paige Beckers here. She's very clearly still Moses and still like one of the 5 best players in the league and going to be that for a very long time. I just want to make sure that she can get to a headspace where she is not playing a style of basketball that she will look back on and regret, because she like, man, I left so much on the table not being able to get out of my own way mentally and not being able to overcome that hurdle earlier. That's what I fear for.
And you know, with like we talked about before, she's not the most explosive downhill athlete in the world. She's not Olivia Miles. She's not Carla Late. She's not, you know, any of these
Kelsey,
She's not Kelsey
KP.
Mitchell. She's not any of these
Right.
like
Yeah.
quick first step, explode off a screen, get downhill. She's not the strongest player in the world. So she's not like Chelsea Gray. She can't necessarily just like physical her way like prime Chelsea Gray. I mean, not Chelsea this year. She doesn't get to the rim either. But she does have some physical limitations in terms of like not being the most effective driver of all time. But she's also like just one of the best jump shooters in the world. So,
that's the thing. She has incredible touch from literally every spot on the court.
So, but like we've talked about over and over again, like we're going to continue to talk about till we see it happen. It just when you play that style of ball and you're a superstar and the defense is so keyed in on you, you make things so much more difficult when you don't force the issue. So, we just need to see some improvement. And it's really, if you look at the total picture this year, it's been the same as last year as a whole in terms of those areas.
Which is
areas which she went on live, like she went on a live podcast or whatever it was and addressed. Like, so we're not just pulling this out of our ass and like trying to fit a square peg into a round hole for, a player that we trying to mold a player how we want. Like, this is what she said.
Right, exactly.
So, yeah. So last night, not the worst game in the world for her, but definitely kind of going along with a lot of these concerns, but improvement areas that we've.
Yeah, that's the thing. She's in her second year. She's still a developing player. Like, correct. We touched the face of God for the month of July, so we saw like how we could be living, fairly soon here. But we also have to understand that expecting that from her every single night at this point in her career, when she's expressed it like, and she's shown like just how uncomfortable she is with trying to live in the paint that often at this point in her career, that's probably not going to happen just yet. But we know there's a chance she could get there, and that's what we want for her.
Correct. So we'll see how that goes. I think she has a really good opportunity with these last handful of games against bad teams to make that a priority, because it's a lot easier to do that against the Seattles and the Connecticut's and right. the whoever else they're playing, the Portlands Portland have. She needs to I need to see like at least 15 drives against Portland, because like if you're scared of Meg Gus and Louisa Geisel-Suter, like come on, like, oh no, she's not playing. Her contract was suspended, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. The other big thing that happened since we've talked was obviously the unfortunate knee injury to Azzi Fudd, out for the season, getting arthroscopic surgery on her knee to combat the persistent soreness that she's had for the last handful of weeks. Man, this just really sucks.
Yeah, I will say I was, and I'll fine. You can call it cope. It probably is. I was a bit more relieved when I found out that it was just a scope and not them going in to clean up anything. And if it's a scope and there's like a month, maybe a month and a half recovery time, and then she'll be able to get right back to basketball activity. Okay, that's not as bad as what I presumed when I heard knee soreness turns into surgery. But an arthroscopic surgery, a scope of any kind of procedure, no matter how minor it is, on a knee that has already been operated on 4+ times at this point, is not good. And I am very concerned for Azzi. And I'm just really, really hoping that she recovers and she can get to a point next season where she is able to take a full off season off, really rest, be ready to play, not have the weight of, coming off of a college season right into a pro season,
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. The concerning part of it is like you said, like the arthroscopic surgery itself is a relatively minor procedure. Right. You could point to a lot of NBA and WNBA athletes who have had the procedure for minor injuries and been recovered quickly and been back in the lineup. Now, here's where the concern. I'm not trying to panic people. I'm not trying to be a doomer, even though there's a fair amount of doom with the situation. If you look at players who have had extensive knee trauma, extensive knee injuries like Azzi Fudd has had, who have to get this kind of procedure, not because they sustained another like real injury. Like, she didn't tear anything else in her knee. that's the thing that people are maybe forgetting is like she didn't sprain anything, tear anything, whatever. It's
just pain she couldn't
it
manage.
just hurts too much to play basketball. And is at a place now where if she does play through it, she's at risk of another serious knee injury, which is why they're doing the surgery.
Right.
If you're in your first year in the league and you've played, 30? So how many games has she played? Like 30 games?
I think she's right at about, 30, 34?
Maybe? If we're 30 games into your first season in the league, and 30 exactly. She played 30 games.
Okay.
If you're 30 games into your first season and the knee is flaring up with pain so bad that you need a corrective surgery and have to miss the entire last part of the season and playoffs to do it, it's just not a good sign. And I know she came off a college season directly before her rookie season. That's not unique to her. That's how the unfortunate reality that every rookie has to deal with. That's a separate conversation of how viable that is for the league, with their young talent. And it's not
especially with the league looking to like expand the schedule to add more games in the future.
Yeah, which is crazy. I mean, if they're going to add more games, they need to figure out the quick turnaround thing because it's not fair to the players. So I sympathize with that part of it. Now, I also don't appreciate all the blame that gets thrown to Jose Fernandez and the coaching staff for playing her. Like there's like all this sentiment that you see from people of like they ran her into the ground. She was playing too many minutes. It was malpractice. All these things, guys. Like the best players are going to play a lot of minutes. Was she playing a lot of minutes? Yes. Like was she playing? Maybe an unsustainable amount of minutes for a player with extensive knee issues. That's really not for you or I to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sort of
they have a medical team to determine when she's redlining like that, right? So
the problem is if you're trying to manage minutes, and we're talking about the difference. She was playing like 31 minutes a game, and I know that lately she was playing more. She was playing closer to 34, 35.
34, yeah.
Y'all, that's not a crazy amount of minutes for the number one pick on a good team that doesn't have a lot of depth to play. We should be counting on our that player to play something close to those minutes, all things being equal. Now, of course, the previous knee injuries play a factor, and maybe they could they have done a better job about managing, rest and load management, all those things, maybe. But do you see how that's a problem too? You know how you're having to handle your 23-year-old number one pick with kid gloves, and she can't play all these minutes because you're worried about her knee exploding, which happened anyway. Really, it didn't explode, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
You're putting yourself in a very thin box. So, like, what's the perfect amount of minutes for her to play, right? Because if she was playing 27 minutes, you'd be upset. And if she's playing 37 minutes, like she had been, a lot of nights, or I think I was looking at it, she played more than 37 minutes like 5 times this year. So it's not like they were playing her 40 minutes night after night, like Arike in 2024.
Right. Yeah.
Just pop quiz for you. Do you know like what Arike averaged minutes per game in 2024?
In 24, I'm
under LT.
I'm gonna guess like 38.
The answer is 39.6.
Oh my gosh!
Oh no! I'm sorry. It's 38.6. 38.6.
Okay.
But if you're rounding that up to 30 to 39, she was playing essentially the whole game every night on a dog shit team.
Terrible team.
On a team that she was playing the whole fourth quarter at times when they were down 30 the whole time. There was just absolutely no need to be playing her that many minutes. But, and again, like Arike and Azzi, I'm not comparing one situation to the other. Obviously, Arike doesn't have the extensive history of knee injuries, wasn't coming off, a whole college season in a rookie year.
Right.
Not compared, but like the point remains. You need your best players to play heavy minutes, especially with the way our roster is constructed, with the other injuries that we were dealing with all these things. So I'm not really I don't think that you can just blame the coaching staff for playing her too many minutes. That doesn't hold any weight with me. And if that is the problem, you have bigger problems than the coach managing minutes, which is exactly what's happened. It's just really unfortunate. I really hope that she can have this surgery and come back healthy and whatnot. But the history of stuff like this isn't good with the amount of surgeries she's had, the amount of injuries she's had. It's going to be, I fear that it's going to be a thing for the rest of her career. And I know I'm going to catch, like, I caught a lot of flack for saying that. I know that nobody wants to hear it and it seems insensitive, but it's just like, this is probably going to be something we're going to have to deal with.
Yeah, it's something that we're gonna have to manage, and like very obviously, nobody wants it to be true. Like we love for her to just like not be on like a Kawhi load management situation where we're constantly like monitoring her knee and monitoring her knee pain and how stable it feels and things like that. But with the medical history that she has, with the fact that it's all been on one knee, that's really the thing. It'd be one thing if it were like a surgery or two on her right knee, and then she also had some work done on like her left ankle or something at one point. It's all been one spot.
And it's all been like super traumatic injuries where she's tore multiple things at once.
Meniscus, ACL, was the ACL twice, a meniscus, and then there was something else.
MCL. She tore her first injury. Yeah. She tore her ACL and MCL. It required 2 separate surgeries.
Yeah, man. So like this is something that they're gonna have to manage. And again, this is if you believe Greg and Kurt, they have been planning for this basically since they knew that they'd won the lottery, right? So if you think that they would allow a coach to play this player minutes that they didn't think she was prepared to play, they would sooner fire Jose themselves than like wait for you to get to the point where you're like mad at Jose for the minutes he's playing her, right? This is just like something that we've got to deal with and something we've got to be very, very careful with.
Right.
And I know that they're going to in the future. It's just really worrying that this is something that she's already dealing with this early in her career at this age. Like we said, we're hoping for the best. We're hoping for her to have a long, healthy, prosperous career. And we'd love for it to be with the Wings and her to become the player that we think that she can be, and for her to be able to be that player for as long as she wants to play. That's the hope, right? That's the goal. So our jobs from here, the Wings jobs from here, and the medical team's job from here is to do their best to help her manage dealing with pain, dealing with soreness, keep her upright for as long as they possibly can, and make sure that they're being super careful, with the minutes that she's getting, the load she's carrying, but also like, not, I don't want to say this, not being so cautious that they are just like not allowing her to go out and actually play and impact the team and the franchise the way that they're expecting a number 1 pick to be able to, right? You've got to be able to balance both, and it's going to be super, super difficult, but this is the position that we're in. So yeah, moral is we're hoping for the best for AZ. We're praying for AZ. Get better, GOAT. We'll see you next season. She had, all things considered, a pretty fantastic rookie campaign. And I like among all the discourse and everything, like we hope that doesn't get lost. Like she was awesome. Yeah. Like in the game we were just talking about, like the game against the Fever. Who would have been really helpful in a lot of those possessions where Kelsey Mitchell was like cooking people off ball and we needed someone who could just kind of like stay with her and wasn't like carrying a super heavy load offensively. That would have been AZ. And she would have helped a lot. Like she probably still would have got scored on like once Kelsey actually caught the ball on a lot of those possessions, but she would have done the job and she would have been there. So we need her on both ends and we need her healthy.
Like, and this is what I've said over and over again, and it's no secret how everyone knows how I felt about the selection and about who we passed on to get her. But the reality is it happened. And at the end of the day, like she had a good rookie year. She was playing well. She was doing, that's why they couldn't take her off the floor.
Right. That's why she was playing 31 minutes a game. She was so important.
She was so important to what we were doing, the impact on both ends. And even though she wasn't, she didn't have like the craziest statistical profile. It was like, if you watched the games, you knew how important it was that she was out there. So she is a very good player, and she is very important for the franchise. I'm really not feeling good about it. I don't, the knee stuff, I didn't really talk about a lot pre-draft. And I basically just kind of, said, well, it's not good, but you can't necessarily anticipate how people are going to respond after a bunch of injuries. A lot of times we've seen cases where people are injured, like have a bunch of injuries, and then, all of a sudden they get healthy. and it's hard to predict. So I really didn't talk about it too much, but now this being what happened in her rookie year, it's man, I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm not feeling good about it, and it really makes me sort of even want to think about, like, can we? I don't know. Like, I don't want to say it, but like, can we like?
I would look for your best interest. I would hold it because I get it. Like, look, this is a reality that we are facing now, and I'm just look. We're better off like all trying to face it together.
Yeah.
Than trying to kill each other in the midst of trying to deal with this.
You're right, and I'm just not feeling good about it. I have to be 100% honest. I don't have any like sources or anything, but I've heard whispers that it's not great.
It would make sense that the team was, again, this is a very, very, very emotionally charged game against the Fever, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't really think it was about the opponent. I think that they are like genuinely kind of worried for her. That would explain a little bit of the kind of like Paige despondency, I guess you could say, like in the game, especially in the first half, and how badly everybody kind of came out with their hair on fire, really, really, really wanting to get this game, and like you said, like really kind of rally and like galvanize around AZ and like show her their support in the best way that they could, which is going out there and playing their hardest and letting them know that we're waiting for you to get back.
Yeah, so hopefully, that's I think that's a nice thing that they did, and I think that maybe they can use that as fuel for the rest of the season to finish strong and make a run, and hopefully get her healthy and ready for camp next year. And I don't know if she's going to play Project B after this. I would not if I were her.
Oh, please, somebody get in there and tell her to say, oh, no.
Cancel your contract, get out of that league entirely would be the best thing.
Yeah.
But we'll see where it goes. We don't have to say too much more about that. It's really shitty. It really sucks.
Yeah,
hate it for AZ, hate it for the fans and the organization. Well, the organization, I don't feel as bad for the organization because this was all, something they should have factored in. But at the end of the day, we just have to wait and see what happens after this.
That's all we can do.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's really, I think, all we have to talk about. We didn't really touch much on the Valkyries game the other day. It was,
you want to touch on the Valkyries game?
I thought they came out in the first half of that game playing decent. I thought their defense was really engaged. The Valkyries are kind of easy to guard, honestly. Not easy to guard, but like they're going to do the same thing no matter what the defense is doing. They're going to swing the ball around and chuck a three. And is it going to go in? Maybe. If it does, their offense will be good. If it doesn't, they're going to struggle to score.
Yeah, they're fairly predictable, but they are relentless in what they do.
Correct.
That's like their superpower.
Correct. And we've always struggled with in recent games with Veronica Burton because we haven't been able to stay in front of her, and like her dribble penetration has opened up so much. We did a good job against her in that. We made the adjustment that I was hoping for with that. So I liked, and then they just got hot. They started making a bunch of bullshit, which was that's what they do.
That's what happens when you employ Janelle Salon. Sometimes some bullshit goes down.
They shoot enough threes. Some of them are going to go in, and they're going to be demoralizing for you, especially when they're in Valhalla and they make like 3 threes in a row, and the crowd gets rocking and
it's loud. Yep.
It's over. But they responded well, I thought. In the second half, they made it. Not for most of the second half. They did make a fake comeback, but.
Right.
The reason why we can't match up with Golden State is because they are full of big, long athletes, which we have one of. We have one player in Awak, who I thought was pretty good in that game too. I think she's had a nice run of games since she's gotten kind of out of the doghouse a little bit, which we won't even touch on that.
We're so the less said about that, the better.
On that,
right.
like we're
look, like we said at the game, we're feeling super vindicated after that.
Yeah,
game.
like
the most vindicated I've ever been.
We'll know. Thank God we haven't seen Leah Rue in games. Like fuck that shit. Like that's
another thing that we kind of said. Once we get serious and we start trying to seriously win games, we love Lee, but that's kind of the time to plan her and keep her on the bench.
Course. Yeah. So that's the thing with Golden State, though. They just have size, athleticism, physicality, strength, like all these things that we really lack. And that's why it's really tough for us to score on them. It's really tough for us to match up on defense. It's really tough for us to match up on the glass. It's really tough to to just match up. Like, I do think that I would rather play them in the series, though, because if we can somehow just sort of get into the trenches with them, if we can play a trench game where nobody can score, I like our late game offense better. Like you said, we got Paige. So, whatever. That was just kind of an annoying, frustrating game for a lot of reasons. The Fever game before it, we talked about it a little bit. That was an entertaining game. Paige and Caitlin were just going band for band. Very different, basically the polar opposite style game that we saw yesterday. Right. So yeah, we have that stretch. Now we have the easy stretch in front of us. Let's go out and maybe what if we won out?
Well, I don't see why we couldn't just run the table on these bum teams that we have coming up. Like I'll sprinkle a little bit of optimism. For as bad as Lynn looked, and we didn't really mention her leaving the game, what looked like an ankle injury. Thankfully, she was able to come back. Yeah. But she looked like she was in a good deal of pain when she went to the locker room. She came back. She finished the game. Didn't play great, but she was able to get back in there and give us some important minutes. The fourth quarter Awak land minutes against Golden State, they're pretty good.
Yeah, they were. I mean,
they look pretty good together.
Their minutes together all year have been strong. Again, not something I think you can do for long, extended stretches because you're giving up a lot offensively in the front court. But when you just need to string together some stops, that's a good card to pull to have in your back pocket.
Yeah, if you just throw those out, if we're just talking like a Golden State matchup, if they can play the way they did in the fourth quarter for a couple of stints throughout the course of the game, if we can get the kind of effort from Jess on both ends, but even really just on offense, like being as physical as she was in the Fever game, if she gets a mismatch on any of the Golden State players, pretty much anybody that isn't Kia Stokes, right? I'm just saying we can hang.
And if we hang,
we have the closer that I love Gabby, I love EB, that I just don't think either of those two are, So
no.
I'm just saying,
like we talked about when they were maybe rumored to go after KP. They don't have. I mean, Gabby and VB have played amazing basketball this year. But come on,
Yeah, so. Man. Hey, shout out to Nat Nakase though, man. She's awesome. She's amazing.
She knows what she's doing. And they're a great organization. They're a great franchise. They're a great. They're doing things the right way. Must be nice.
Right, yeah. Even through the mess up, just top down synergy,
Right. You're not ever gonna play a perfect game, That's the thing. You're gonna make mistakes as a coach, player, GM, whatever it is. You're gonna fuck up. This shit's hard, But yeah. We'll touch on that another. We'll end on a positive note. Let's win.
Right, yeah.
Let's win on Sunday and get a little streak going, and let's move in the standings. Let's get a favorable matchup in the playoffs. Let's win a series.
There we go.
Let's do it.
There we go. Yeah.
This is the route in front of us, so let's do that and not worry about all the doom and organizational failure that
we can get to that in the offseason. For now, we've got the Storm game coming up Sunday. We're both supposed to be there, so maybe we get a little bit of wingflation luck again. And it's the Storm. We're going to beat them, but maybe we get some pretty good. Okay, yeah, that's well. Hold on, because. Wait a minute, because they throw out their three-headed monster lineup in the front court. Maybe we have our own. We throw out there now.
It's like Godzilla versus Mothra.
That's what I want to see. That's what I'm going there for. I'm just give me Clash of the Titans. That's what
that would be fun as shit. Yeah, that's gonna be cool. So hopefully we can build on that and let's go ahead and get out of here.
Hell yeah, let's do it.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys for listening. If you made it this far. We're under an hour this time, which is big for us. So thank you for if you've listened to the show so far. If you continue to listen to it, we really appreciate it. We have fun doing this. So we'll be back next week to talk about whatever atrocities or maybe good things
or miracles. Maybe.
Yeah. We'll see. So we'll get out. This is Wingflation. We'll get out of here and we'll talk to you guys next time.
Yeah. Get better, AZ. Later, Wings fans.